Hi everyone, my name is Barbara. I'm the owner of Spanish for Kiddos, and welcome to another episode of Craft for Kiddos. And today we're doing something really fun, and we're going to talk about seed germination, the life cycle of a plant, and some other fun activities here that you can do as well. There's so many different ways that you can do that. And for example, I have been growing these beans in a glass jar here, and it can clearly distinguish here how the plant was growing. Now I have several beans growing here, of course, but you can see here the stem, and of course this was part of the seed coat here that fell off. And let me show you what that looks like. It's just little pieces of the seed coat that just fell off when it starts growing. And I have this graphic organizer that can help you go through the several different stages. And so for instance, if the hypocotyledon rises, then you would see it here coming through, of course, through the elements here, coming through, it starts forming, and then when your first leaves start to form, your true leaves, here we are in this section, and of course we're going to this section. Now I have in the blog post each step that I took pictures as the seeds were growing. For instance, here's some other sections here of certain beans that are growing at a particular stage here. And you can do that when you do this project. I do recommend that you have several seeds, because some instances, even though you grow them, they may not grow in certain mediums like this one here. But however, I have, for instance, in this here, and then I'm going to put this one so that you can see, because it has some water in there, that they do start to grow, for instance, like in this plastic cup. So you have different instances that you can use different ways to do that, and I'm going to show you how to do that with the styrofoam, and then how you can actually see the roots, how it starts growing, and all the different parts of that. Another fun activity is the parts of a plant. Now if you have a flower growing through, or a flower, just a particular flower if you want to, and you want to examine each section, there's this activity that you can do. And then there's also this seed germination tracking sheet that you can have to actually put on the dates and then the type of seed. And I'm using a red kidney bean seed, but you can use any other type of legume seeds. And then what observations do you have? What do you observe as you're going through this? And this is just part of that stem process. So let's get started. So one of the things I have, I'm going to start with my plastic cup here. And now you can label this as you want to. I do recommend, maybe if you're doing this for a class, each student's name, maybe a date, and the type of seed that you're using. And once you have that, let me put that here for a minute. Now I took some paper towel. Now you can put some holes in there, but it's not needed for this short amount of, it's a pretty short, this took about 15 days to grow in the right conditions, of course, but you can just put some holes if you want to, but it's not necessary. And then just rip up some paper, that if you want to, just to create a bit of a medium there, because of course if we're doing it in this garden we would have soil in there, but since we're using this as a model to see what the seed germination looks like, we're just going to use paper towels. And then you're going to lightly spray this with some water like this, and then you're going to take some paper towel, and then you're going to wrap around, and then just make sure you measure the amount of paper towel that you need around, because you're going to need those seeds to adhere, to just hang on to the wall there, because you want to see what that looks like. So I would just mist this just enough there, and then take your beans, and again I have red kidney beans here, and I do recommend that you soak these overnight in water, so it helps them to just break up that coat there, like for instance in this seed here, as you can see. And even if you want to, you can even have them sprout a little bit if you wanted to. And then what you're doing is just you are gently placing them between the paper towel and the wall here of your container. So one of the things I want to do is make sure that this is nice and moist, that it never dries up, because then the seeds not only will rot, but then they will just not grow. So you can have them mist like this. Make sure that it is nice and snug in there, something like this. Okay, like I said, if you soak this overnight and it starts to sprout, that's even better, because you are actually helping the beans sprout. And then you can do that all throughout the cup. So that's one way to do that. Another fun way is with a styrofoam cup. And in this, I started, what I started doing is, from my previous cup that I had, or you can just draw a small rectangle. What I did was I traced it with a pencil, and then I have a small rectangle, and then the small rectangle I am going to cut it like this, and I start it so it doesn't make a whole lot of noise when I do cut it. So when I do this, now notice that I'm cutting on one side of my styrofoam cup. So I do have this small opening. I'll show you how we're going to close that here in a minute. So I have this opening here like this. And if you are familiar with the sun catcher blog post and activity that I did, we created these small windows, and what I have here is a window that's going to go on here on top of this styrofoam cup. And all it is, I took some construction paper that is about maybe half an inch or even more. It just depends how big your rectangle is. I do see a nice amount of viewing areas, just so that you can see what those roots look like, what they begin to look like in the in your container there. And then I use some wrapping packaging tape there that is transparent so that you can see, and I just wrapped it all the way around. Now, one of the things you want to be careful is that when you paste this on here, you want to either use some glue or use some other type of, you can even use some packaging tape that I'm going to use now. So to do that, and it's going to be a little bit loud, so what I'm going to do here, and then so you can just hold it there, and then hang on one second. I'm just going to paste a little bit there. Usually I would just do it. I'm just going to adhere there just a little bit so that it can hold on to my cup. And then I'm going to just grab some more. Now, like I said, I would use this with some glue, and you do need to wait to let it set to see what, so that it adheres well to the cup. But in this example here, I'm just going to use some tape just to keep it holding on to that. So like I said, because you do cut here, it really doesn't matter, because you do have this section there with the tape, so it adheres all the way through. Now, I don't want to put any more tape and make a lot of noise with that. But now you see a nice viewing area. So in the same way we did with our plastic cup, is we're going to put some paper towels down there to make a nice medium like this. I'm going to mist all the way through, and I'm doing this so that it can start to feel a nice moist environment. I don't want it soaking wet, that is dripping a lot of water. Now, other thing I want to mention is to make some small holes here. With the styrofoam cup, you can do so like this, for instance, so that it can, if you do have a lot of water, it will just drain off, and so the beans will not rot in there. So once you have something like this, and notice that I'm making a nice medium there, you can make it smoother there so that you can see the beans growing. And in the same way that I did with the plastic cup, I want to mist this enough so that it's nice and wet, that it's nice and moist, but wet enough that the bean, when I place my bean in there like this, I'm going to be able to see it like this. For instance, something like this. Now you're going to have to maybe adjust it. Make sure it doesn't dry, because once it dries, it takes a while for this to moisten again. Again, this is a paper towel, it's not soil, that can help the bean grow. So something like this. So in this case, when it starts growing, you can do that as well. So for instance, what I'm going to do, instead of putting this bean here, I am going to use one of the beans that I have in this container. Like I said, make sure that you have some sort of tray or some sort of small paper plate that you can put on here in case you have a lot of water, it will drain on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this bean here very gently, and this is what you can do if you want to get started with a lot of the beans, is actually place them on here along with your, it's just getting a little head start with the growing there. So you can see something like that, for instance. And as you are doing that, so it can help you with growing into the different types of beans. If you want to, you can do that as well. You can make this viewing area bigger if you wanted to. Like I said, you can put some more paper towels in here to help it stay put there so that it will not move. So be careful, it does move. You're gonna have to readjust it very gently, because in the roots, you're disturbing the roots, then it can stop growing. So something like that, for instance. And then I'll just readjust there. So you can see your bean there. And you can see, of course, as it starts growing. So this is a safe way that they can use to see the different types of parts of the bean as it grows, and other ways to see the beans as it sprouts. So for instance, if we see in this glass, you can see all that area has the roots, and then of course all the types of parts of the plant here as it grows. So again, this is in the glass, and then of course the plastic container, and then you can use this styrofoam type of model here. So all these different ways that you can do that, that's an excellent way to get started. So for instance, here as well, to get started with the beans. So like I said, you can use the graphic organizer, which is also available in Spanish, so that you can go through that. And then one of the fun things here to do is, of course, you can print out in different ways. And one of the things that we're going to do is actually match these up. And I recommend, because this is an activity that you can actually have as you are going along with your plant, if you're using something like this, or if you're using something with the styrofoam. So what you can do is actually go through, it's got this vocabulary at the bottom, and then where is the sun? ¿Dónde está el sol? It's right there. So you can just go in there and use some tape. You can use some glue, whatever is convenient, and then go in there and match these up. There's the sun. Where is, and you can do this in any order if you want to. Where's the stem, el tallo? That is right here. Where's the leaf, la hoja? That is right here. Where's the water? Plants need water to grow, agua. That is here. And then, where are the roots? The roots, raíces, it's right here. And then the petal, pétalo, is right here. Now, I go through a lot of detail about seed germination and other ways of the life cycle of plants. Of course, you can go much deeper as well into this activity. There's other parts that you can continue on, for instance, photosynthesis. What about the roots? You know, what is the function of roots? And some other types as well. So you can even try different types of seeds, like sunflower seeds, or maybe any other type of flowers if you wanted to grow So many different ways to do that. Such a fun activity that you can get started. I think is a great activity to start in spring or in the summer as you are doing different types of STEM activities. So different ways to do that. There's also maybe a writing component and reading, so make sure you check all those out as well. And I hope you give this a try, so let me know how you enjoy this fun activity. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you join me for another fun, either bilingual story, activity, math activity, anything to help bilingual students learn more or any hands-on activity. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.